Welcome to Seeking Numina, the Sacred Places podcast. I'm your host, Elise Wells, and today I am joined by Maya Tiwari. Maya Tiwari is a spiritual pioneer who serves humanity by awakening the spirit of ahimsa, or harmony, in every person whose life she touches. For 35 years, she has put this ability to inspire and create change in human behavior and understanding to work through education, outreach, and service to humankind. Maya established the Wise Earth School of Ayurveda in 1981, the first school for Ayurveda education in North America. In addition to the Wise Earth School, Maya is also the founder of both the Mother Om mission that serves at-risk communities. And affectionately called Mother Maya, she is a champion for women's empowerment, recognized on the worldwide platform for her tireless commitment to inspiring health, wholeness, and peace. Maya has received numerous awards for her pioneering work in Ayurveda education, and she has appeared alongside the Dalai Lama and many other luminaries. She is honored with the distinction of World Peace Leader by the Parliament of World Religions. Maya is the author of many books, and today we're here to talk about, among many other things, her most recent book, I Am Shakti. Welcome to Seeking Numina. I'm your host, Elise Wells, and I invite you to connect with the sacred wild within and around you through Numina, or sacred sites around the world, and the wisdom they hold. Together, let's remember the old ways, build relationships with land spirits, and dare to reach out to the fairies. The sacred wild is inviting you to dance in the moonlight. Will you answer their call? Maya, thank you so much for being here today. I'm very honored to have you on the show.
Elise, a pleasure. It's my joy to be with you and to have this conversation that can help our fellow humans, but also especially women.
Yes.
And especially women who are, we are all growing up. We are in the state of maturation, as we say, and there are things that we need to be very keenly looking at in our lives, in this transition of our lives, in the transition of our earth, in the transition of everything, politically, socially, economically, and most importantly, spiritually, for ourselves.
Let's start right there. In this moment we're in. Before we started recording, you shared something that I think those listening might not have really thought about, but you hit it right on the head. We are in a very interesting time period where there are more frequencies available to us than previously or than in other time periods. Could you share a bit about that?
Yes, because what happens in the karmic evolution of all planets, and we are going to be awakening to so many more and so much more information than we've ever dreamt possible on Earth, in that we have had many more species and life forms with us. It's that way in the Vedic work, in the Vedic revelations that we have seen from. This is an ancient tool for those who don't know what the Vedas is. It goes back probably billions of years ago, but thousands for as much as we can remember and study, and that's been part of the education and also the revelation that I have been living with. In this time, the frequencies are higher. We're saying that we're going from a 3D platform to a 5D platform. And what that means is automatically it's happening because we as human beings are constructed in such an incredible way that every cell, every memory, every tissue picks up what is happening vibrationally in our universe. In one of my books, I think it was Path of Practice that Random House produced, I talked about the sound medicine, how we can listen to salubrious sounds, meaning wholesome sounds, the sounds of nature, even the raging waters of an ocean or the very, very fierce winds. And yet it shifts something within the mindset. It shifts something within the well-being. And so we, in the 5-dimensional range that we are now experiencing, we need to understand that we don't have to do anything to inherit this incredible vibration. It's there, it's supplied to us. It's now in more profuse abundance than it has ever been before. And there is a very important reason why this is happening. We are to open and collect it. We're not to worry it. We're not to try and do yet another inundated practice on top of practice to get it, because really what it's doing, it's automatically shifting all of the commodity mindset that we have been entrained in. It's going to shift that and topple it over. And that is where we need to be careful.
Yes. That's so beautifully said about particularly what you said that we don't really have to do anything. I think we let our minds rule our spiritual practices, particularly in the West. I see this more than we need to. I think in a way, when we engage our mind in our spiritual work, it needs to be there. There's an importance of healthy skepticism and all those things, but at a degree, once you start doing your work and you know you're a person who's, you have foundational knowledge and it's now time to let the body and the soul guide your journey. And that's a very scary place to be. It's like putting the bumpers down, and just being out there in the lane. But
It
it's
is,
important.
it is because it demands a trust in Mother Earth, a trust in the universe, a trust. And at the same time, we are being challenged with the broken trust of our governance, world governance. I'm not just talking about America. Everything is across the board. We're talking about a breakup, a breakdown, and an absolute. But where we need to stay, Ayurveda always encourage us to stay in the mid path, in the middle way, to keep that sense of balance. Equanimity and the sense of balance in everything we are doing in our life right now is so incredibly important. This is the only focus that we truly need. And when we're distracted by all of the incredible scandals and breakups and betrayals and ugly reality that is unfolding around us, when we are caught in that trap, then we jump one step further and we start to judge. And then we go to the very profound extreme of that reality. We're not helping ourselves. We're not helping our community. And we're certainly playing into the manipulation of high governance. Because then, when we're at the extreme, we become incredibly emotionally vulnerable to everything that they have in their toolbox of control. And so you then become just another chess piece on a very, very vast board. Okay, I said it's not politic to talk about politics, but what we are going to do then today, if we can, Elise, is talk about that midway. Ayurvedically and in all ancient traditions of healing and medicine, meaning nature's medicine, we talk about the middle path. And that encourages us. These are the things that we are going to have to do for ourselves. The revolutionary dimensional frequency is not going to be able to individually do it for us. So then we have to look at doership in a very different mindset, through very different lens, and reclaim it immediately, not ultimately.
Yes. And there's so much action required in that participation. I've been reflecting on how I was reading some Jane Goodall, and she very pointedly stated, this was in the Book of Hope that was co-written with Douglas Abrams. She really poignantly stated that hope is not faith, because faith can be passive. Hope is active. Hope is our agency to create change. And that really stuck with me because I think, particularly in the West, where things have been seemingly good for a long time, things have been easy in a simple way. People had access to clean water, food, plumbing, opportunity. Things can feel like they are what they are. Like our actions won't make a difference because things are always relatively decent, so I don't have to worry too hard or work too hard. On the other hand, things are always bad, so I can't really make a change in them. There's kind of dichotomy of no matter what I do, if I do, it doesn't make a difference. But that is, like you said, that is the tool of the oppressor. That is a very calculated strategy to make us feel emotionally vulnerable and powerless and small. I think smallness is also used in a negative way as a tool to keep us from moving. Um,
Absolutely. And at least when what you're talking about is so vital because we're talking about the word sovereignty. We're talking about
yes.
reclaiming who we are because essentially we are so powerful. I am Shakti tells us how powerful we are. And women, if you can, and men too, because I speak a lot about the balance between the masculine and feminine primordial energies and how necessary this is to create a stable society, stable community, stable family. So we have been entrained badly for many centuries. And that is, we put idols, we build idols in terms of celebrity, in terms of gurus, in terms of all of that. And we build a pedestal under them. And then when it crashes over our heads, we start complaining about that as well. So basically, I want us to know that you are the pedestal, you are the entity of great hope and joy, you are the powerful one, no one else. You, and each one of us has this capacity. I happen to have an ancient gaze. I am an ancient soul. That is something that I recognize and I know. And we all have a sense of our karmic age, meaning how many billions of lives have we taken into this. And we would not be sent by the heavens, you can call it, by the greater universe, by the galaxies of the greater universe, by whatever we call God, whatever we call goddess. You will not be sent this frequency if you weren't able to assimilate it. So we have to trust that. And hope is so incredibly important because what's happening now is people are being stripped of their hope. This is a huge thing that is happening. When you see those that you love, those who you were teachers, those who were the idols that you adored on the screen, and idolatry has become way too important in our lives, and we've got to cut back on that. Commodity has become way too treacherous in how we receive it and how we need it. We've got to start working on those cutbacks because basically, consciousness, who you are, has no commodity, it has no products. It is without all of that. We take and we buy and we consume what we need. And we have to now go from to keep the hope alive to the simplicity in our daily lives.
Yeah. And that's that middle path again. It's, I think that can apply to every way we show up. It can apply to how we sit down to a meal, to how we plan a vacation, to how we show up at the grocery store as we're shopping, and definitely in our spiritual practices. I think of the middle path as well when I think about how to stay informed. Like with the moment we're in, I think it can definitely be more harmful to ignore it completely. I think that's the worst thing a person can do is to say, "Oh, I'm going to focus on my spiritual practice and ignore the world events," because that's you can't really do that. Like it won't
Yes,
you won't
and
be focusing on your spiritual
right.
practice
We
to do
can't be
that.
on either extreme of it. That's not the middle
Yes.
path. We can stay informed by our neighbors, and it is time to rebond with neighbors and with smaller communities. We've got to do it. This is your bedrock. This is the platform that we are moving into and toward and must consolidate all the frictions and rivalry and conflicts we've had with anyone. We need to just make peace with that.
Yeah.
Immediate forgiveness, honest. As women, we forgive every second of the day. As when I was walking as a monk, I realized that, monastic life means we are entirely, permanently, perennially forgiving. And that is a
Mm.
wonderful thing to know. And then when I dropped my robes, I understood that, it's not very different for a woman than it was with a monk because basically we are always perennially forgiving and we have to. That is the maternal force. That is part of the power that we carry, not only to procreate and bring life and be the mothers of all of humanity, because we are that at the largest scale of it. So listen, women, when you think that you don't have a say in the matter, remember that you birthed the entire humanity. And
Yeah.
how grand is that? So you have power. And if you read I Am Shakti only to understand the history of that power, then I would and take it in small bites because it is a very Well, I should say intense book. It is. It's a book that actually deliberately dug deeper, and I dug deeper because I saw this time was near, the time when we need to understand who we are, the absolute innate power of the feminine force, and also having to make sure that when we are in a state of balance, automatically, mechanically, the state of the masculine becomes more vulnerable and therefore open to that balance. The state of our children are no longer wanting this, wanting that, being little celebrities themselves, but more focused on doing errands, on helping the mother, on helping the father, on being grateful for the education that their parents and teachers are giving them. All of it automatically comes back into this wonderful coalesced form of the whole, of the wholeness. We're losing wholeness. We've given it away. We have outsourced our power to governance. And governance will change and continue to do what they do, and then they will come to some sort of stasis. But we're being helped right now in the entire universe where the absolute pile barrel of rotten stuff is being exposed so that it can be dissolved. Understand that that is the ultimate aim. The aim of the exposure is not to corrupt your sense of trust. It is not to give you so much betrayal that you want to hide your head under the sand. No, we cannot do that. It is to open your eyes to the fact that we have bought into these things. We have contributed to these things. And now we cannot be the judge and jury of it. We can inquire into it. We can't just look at little snapshots and screenshots of this that insinuate that somebody has molested this and that and that. We can't do that. We need to go for verifiable facts. And if we can't get that done on our own, then we need to look through those lenses and keep judgment at bay, because you cannot be manipulated if you keep the middle mind.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point too about gratitude. I think gratitude can be seen in the spiritual community as almost almost like the throwaway practice or the given practice, like to the point where we maybe stop actually doing it. So if you're listening and you've been on your journey a long time, this might be the invitation to reintroduce a gratitude practice to your day. And again, like we said in the beginning of this interview, we don't want practices to take up your time and we don't want practices to actually distract you from the work. But looking, something that I do every day, and if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see this, but is I drink a lot of water. And the past few months, I actually switched to a clear glass when I'm home. I usually used a water bottle, but I switched to a clear glass because I want to see the water that I'm grateful for. I mean, this is incredible to me. My family, I'm the first person in my family not born as a refugee in the Middle East. So I'm fortunate to have always known clean water, but I know that that's not true even a generation ago in my family. And so I give gratitude every time I sip my water, every time I look at it and I see it and I know it's clean and safe to drink. And I think that's lost on so many people who have that gift. Or our eyesight, our tactile senses, our sense of smell. These are things that we really should never, ever take for granted if we have them.
And
And that's where gratitude starts, and then it grows from there.
it grows from there. And right as we were sitting by an altar set up on my desk. And we don't have to have an altar, but we need to have a space of serenity, at least one space that is not chaotic in the home. It can be a tiny little space. And there you set up the things that are valuable to you. Because when you get up and you look in that direction, it reminds you that yes, life is extremely sacred. I always keep a light, either a candle or a light of some sort going, not the big brilliant electrical light, but a tiny little light that reminds me in the darkest of moments, because I've been targeted. I've been relentlessly targeted for the work I do. And that's another topic for another time. And I must tell you, clean water has been one of the most incredible lack of that I mourn, because my water, no matter what I do, because of the targeting, is not salubrious. It's not whole anymore. And so what so what I put out there is your own energy, your own high vibrational energy can bless even poison, really. It can bless it because the power of intention, that if I did not have that incredible built-in sanctuary within my mind, I would not be alive to talk to you today. I started out my career at a very early age. I had no choice. I'm an immigrant as well. Came at 16 to study, was too young to be let into law school in this culture. And so basically, I became a high fashion designer out of past karmic skills. We have all these skills wrapped up. And then was diagnosed with ovarian cancer at the age of 18. And that rerouted my path so completely rapidly to a different way. And my father was thankfully alive at the time and told me that I was not born to be a celebrity. I'm wasting my purpose and my path. I'm from a very stoic Vedic tradition, and I was meant to go back to the ancestors and learn what to do. And so returned to India, studied the Vedas, Vedanta, Ayurveda, meditation, yoga, the panoply of incredible arts. Never once missed my early life of celebrity, in New York City. But what I understand through my own training, and fortunately, not all of us have this type of very arduous path to walk and to negotiate. But what I've learned through all of the negotiable paths that I have had to endure in my life of pain and suffering is that it has built my intention to such a beautiful place that, yes, I get angry. Yes, I'm human. Yes, I respond to the barbarism that continually follow me around. But I also come very quickly to that sankalpa, which is a Sanskrit word for the intention of who we are. We must always go back to the intention of being that innocent, pure, exquisite, untouched miracle that lives within us in the soul of who we are.
Yeah. Or the alignment. Another way I think of that is when we're just living in that balance, seeking that balance and finding that alignment of this is who I am, this is why I'm here. Everything else is anything else that pulls you in a different direction is really just a distraction. Everything in our lives should actually drive us into that
And I
balance
love
and
that
alignment.
word, Elise. That is brilliant, alignment, because in and of itself, it is alignment. It's alignment with who we are, who we were born to be, alignment with purpose. We're always discovering purpose. When I was training Ayurveda practitioners, and I trained thousands over, 40 years or 38 years, and now I don't do training anymore because it became exhausting at a certain point. The travel, the living in environments of airplanes and rented spaces and whatever became difficult. But I didn't realize it was difficult when energy was flourishing. You don't realize how much energy it takes until you begin to wane, your energy begin to wane. But getting back to the alignment, we the purpose, we don't have to say, okay, I don't know my purpose, I need to know my. No, it doesn't work like that. Whatever we believe our purpose is, we go with that. And then it changes and it grows and it changes. And we come to junctures every 7 years or so in the cycle of Ayurveda that tells us that it's directional. We're either going to have to make a choice of going left or going right. It's no longer just plodding along. And those are the critical choices. And none of us, even at trillions of years old or billions of years as my soul may be, who knows how long our souls have been around. I made the left turn instead of the right turn about 15 years ago, and it has cost me plenty. So we look at it, we're none of us indefatigably, we are all, that is growth, that is called human mistakes, human choices, not mistakes, forget mistakes, choices
Yeah.
choices that we make with eyes wide open and heart because of desires, because of ancestral pull, pushing and pulling, and because of the unresolved that we have inside of each one of us with our ancestors. And ancestors are not just the people we remember, they're the way, 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 way in the karmic ancestry. So, not getting off point though, this alignment is we have to be gracious enough to know that we make bad choices. And when we get pushed and pulled and hit, or sometimes mercilessly targeted from those choices, what happens is we grow because none of us had the choice to not exist. That is not a choice. No matter how tough it gets, we grow. And
Yeah.
in that growth, you come out with this, I should say, splendiferous, this stupendous, this exquisite knowing, this light, this that nothing can really fail you anymore. It's phenomenal. So then we do the alignment of the choice we've made. It didn't serve us. The punish. It's not being punished. It's what is the beautiful word that all divine sources tell us? It is being prepared, they say. It's not punished, it's preparation. And the
Yeah.
preparation means that you're growing. If we didn't make these costly mistakes, we wouldn't grow in the leaps and bounds that we do.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, that's why we're here. If Earth was a lovely, wonderful place where it was so easy to vibe high and, we wouldn't have to keep reincarnating. We come here to experience the bad. For whether that's external to us, like a natural disaster, something that's totally not our choice or our control, or if it's a small mistake. I mean, when I look at the worst things that life has led me to have to experience, they either were not my choice or there was a decision there that I can see led to that happening, but it was such a small, benign,
Yeah.
it didn't seem like it could have ever
Yeah.
led to that.
Mhm.
And so I think there's too much what you said about always being in a state of forgiveness. People are least apt, I think, to turn that inwards. And I think that's where it's most necessary is to forgive our past selves and recognize that those pain points that we suffer are actually the most important things we'll go through. Not because they define us, but because they actually show us who we really are.
Absolutely. Really. It's so profound because that this is a profound turn of the conversation. And it's also important that we know that we need to compliment ourselves more. You've done this. I'm so proud of you. I'm so thankful to the divine energies for this day, because gratitude comes naturally when we recognize that we have crossed a certain threshold that was so difficult to cross before, and we have been pained so deeply to reach this threshold, and now we have reached this threshold. I don't really, and women know this because of giving birth and the intense pain of it, and then the reward of this exquisite being in your. We are a young, not a young planet, but a young species. And we are growing. We're growing through these, we are almost teenagers in terms of the age of other species. And yet we are actually lauded by other species. I have no doubt that we are of great interest to the rest of the extraterrestrial world because of our amazing free will. Humanity has that, and it belongs, I believe, only to humanity in that sense of our greatest largesse, our greatest gift is the free will. So free will get us into the muck. It will get us out of the muck. It will get us up to the plinth of the Himalayas. It will get us back down into the savannas. This is free will. It's free will at work, and we are learning it. We're learning the curves.
And since this is the Sacred Places podcast, I think we should wrap up our conversation with a conversation on environment. How does the environment that we're in, the places, because one of my big posits on this show is every place is sacred. The land beneath our feet is sacred. Every tree is sacred. Every plant has a spirit that we can commune with, and it is sacred. And so this show, in a way, convinces people that there are wonderful sacred places and shares them with the world, but then also that your land, your space, your home, your little corner of your altar are sacred places as well. So maybe in a broad sense, take this however in whichever direction you would like. How does our environment inform our sacred practice or our alignment, our seeking alignment?
Well, we are going to have some of the most thunderous, massive natural disasters aligned with the massive breakup of governance around the world, aligned with the massive breakup of the economy and everything that we knew as social well being. And so the environment itself is cleansing itself. We've done a ton of destruction, and we shan't waste time talking about what they are. Most people know that we have polluted our beautiful earth. But sanctity is in the wreckage as well. Everything once sacred always remains sacred, no matter how contaminated it becomes. The detritus is also sacred. It's like the equation between home and sanctity. A home is a space, it's built around you, it's built for you, whatever. Nature is vast, she's around you, she surrounds you. Nature gets contaminated, the home gets contaminated. But the deeper home is what you say is within. It's what you carry within you. Sacred is also what we carry within us in the environment. In this intention, in this knowing, the equation then from a external home, an external environment becomes an internal home and an internalized environment. And we have the power in this higher frequency as well, not only to focus better, to become serially focused when it comes to our well-being, the well-being of our planet as well, because they're not separate. This is the gift we are being given, that I can drink the contaminated water, but not before I intentionally change the energy of it through a prayer, through my intention, through the forgiveness of those who've contaminated it. We have to understand that we are working on a different vibrational frequency, which means that our resonance for enlightenment or resonance for manifesting the sacred back out of the dump is very, very real.
Beautifully said. That's beautifully said. It makes me think of too, I'm trying to remember the full myth, but doesn't Lord Shiva drink the poison to save humanity?
Yes,
And
and
he
that's
has the
why
blue
he's called
throat.
Nilkanth, the blue-throated one, because he had the asuras, who are the demonic ones, the devas, who are the god ones, but they all have egos. They're just battling, right? Too extreme. This is what I mean about the mid-path. Shiva is in the mid-path. He's the balance between the demonic forces and the angelic forces. But angelic forces and demonic forces are all fighting for territory, right? And so basically, in the mid-path is Shiva, who no one, the devas, I think it was the devas who ended up with the poison, or was it the demons? I
I
don't
know,
know.
that's what I was trying to
And
remember. I'm like,
and
who
and
even did the poisoning?
the mythology of it, but neither of them could negotiate it. It would blow them to smithereens. So basically, Shiva, the midpoint, took it and drank it because he, in his incredible Shaktified state, could negotiate and transform that poison into something that benefits all of humanity. But his throat did become blue from holding it there. And so, as we started the conversation with the midway, we are also ending our conversation, dear Elise, with the middle path. Let us strive in all ways. And you can get so many fabulous, incredible little practices of lunar solar breath in my books. The Path of Practice in particular give you some simple practices, 5 minutes a day, just to keep tuning the mind, just to keep tuning the breath, just to keep re-embodying yourself throughout the day, and keep the mind not only hopeful, but knowing that the next phase that we are coming into will be sublime, will be something so beautiful to live for those young ones who will have that opportunity to inherit that space that we in our mid years or later years have to, there is no such thing as retirement in our current situation. We can retire from a job, but we have work to do to protect our generations ahead.
Yeah. And is there anything else you'd like to share with listeners about any upcoming events this summer or in 2026 that you'd like to share, or where you prefer folks to get your books?
Well, Amazon, is a blessing in that sense, in that you can get books there. But they're in most of the major retailers still. The books continue to be alive. One of my very first book, called A Life of Balance, is about how we heal and feed ourselves. Not just by organic or whatever, but the actual healing properties of our hands and intention with the food as we prepare it. And The Path of Practice is a beautiful book that gives you so many daily practices, small ones that you can do and incorporate. I do still teach online programs, and the next one coming up is called Moon Shakti. It's especially for women, that we bring our cycles into harmony with the rotation of the moon, because that's how we've been configured. Lunar energies are very prominent in our hormonal balance, and the way that we balance our understanding of the feminine divine, in the way that we balance each organ, in the way that we give birth, and all of these things. So the Moon Shakti medicine course comes up, I believe, in March. And it would be on our websites, which is the Wise Earth. That's WISEEARTH.com. And also there's Maya Tiwari.com, which tells about my personal events with promoting the book and all of that. Yep.
Well, thank you so much for all the work that you do and that you have done for over 35 years, right? So
Yes.
long. So grateful that you're out here doing this work and that more people hopefully will find you through this audience. And I look forward to everything that is ahead for you, and I hope people really can take the wisdom that you share, not just in this episode, but in all that you do, and recognize that our power is within us and it's never too late. And if anything, it's actually prime time right now to be able to use this power. So it's never been a better time to get in touch with it.
Thank you, Elise. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for seeking Numina with me today. Join me at patreon.com/Elise Wells to support this show and get access to a library of rituals, exclusive videos, meditations, and more. To learn more about my upcoming retreats, book a tarot reading, or learn with me in workshops, classes, or mentorship, visit seekingnumina.com.